Good afternoon, everyone, or should I say great, because the guy with the second most points scored against him doesn't go to 1-5, he goes to 2-4. You guys can't keep this up against me. Moving down the rankings, we've got Beginner's Luck having a little bit more Beginner's Luck with 685 points scored against him. Going to number 2, we've got Kyler Murray Cobb Pro at 4-2. Tough loss, Merrick. At number 3, we've got Tree Sentinels, aka Cody Andreas, who, up to this point, it's been a fluke. You had your Ric Flair week. You had it. It's time for me to take it back, baby. Run it back! At number 4, we've got Hamstring, aka Hatron. Look, dude, I know that you're a force to be reckoned with, but I'm a little more forceful. You can't be dropping Darnell Mooney on the waivers mid-game and thinking you're going to win! At number 5, we've got the Markarth Murr. And honestly, I'm going to take a little light on this guy because Beginner's Luck wants to take the commissioner spot and I won't have it! Mr. Maitland has been the only one on my side. Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you in the championship. At number 6, we've got I Guess He's Banking on Bijan. And guess what? He took him straight to the fucking bank. At number 7, not really sure how he's still this high, we've got Cocaine Lumberjacks. Now, I know you've got your little strategy of drafting the worst team every year and somehow winning. It's not working this year, buddy. Bye-bye. At number 8, we've got the Washington Rednecks moving down to 2-4. Man, you've got a pretty good team. Let's pick it up, shall we? At number 9, we've got the one, the only, the force, the true force to be reckoned with, the one that's going to bring the beginner down. Cody's Charger Reincarnate. Now, you guys can talk all the shit you want. You can collude and get weird and nasty with me. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's about wins and losses, baby. And we've got more than half the fucking season left. Good luck. And last but not least, in 10th place, moving down to 1-5 with the least points scored in the entire league at 724, we've got Barkley holding on. You gotta make some trades. I mean, I don't even think animal sacrifice would do anything at this point. You're gonna have to cut off a hand. Now, some of you had some rude and ignorant things to say last week about me making myself last in the matchup, acting like I'm building myself up as if I don't deserve it. So, we're going to start with me this week, just so you know what's up. Now, looking at this matchup, Jalen Hurts, he's been kind of ass this year, bro. I don't care if he's got A.J. Brown back. I don't care if he's got Devonta Smith back. He's still a choke. Stephon Diggs, he's coming up on what? His 7th year in the NFL? Nothing. Chris Godwin? I mean, Mike Evans just got stuffed last week because every year that's what he does against New Orleans. Sorry, JD, you shouldn't have started him. You should have known better. But this week, you have nothing. I'm about to replace Chuba Hubbard with Jonathan Brooks. You might want to treat me with a little more respect so we can work out a trade. Now, for the sake of your self-esteem, I'll hear what you have to say about it.
So I'm playing Jacob this week. So yeah, pretty much I have a bye week because he doesn't have anything for me. Not stressed at all in the slightest bit. Not worried about him. So I'm just gonna make some breakfast real quick. Let's see. I got some eggies. Oh wait. You're cooked, boy. You're so cooked this week. Oh yeah. You're cooked.
Gaze upon me in horror as you take your final gasping breath.
So I just took a break mid-recording to grab a glass of ice water. And what do you think I found? You're iced.
Now, as far as my team goes, it looks pretty fucking incredible. I'm not gonna lie to you. CJ Stroud, one of the most consistent quarterbacks in the NFL. Drake London, an absolute breakout year when he finally has a quarterback that can throw to him. Jaden Reed, questionable to drop 33 points. Jordan Mason, an AC sprain. I'll just replace him with Chase Brown. Kyron Williams, the floor is 16. The ceiling is the moon. Trey McBride? Sorry, Jacob. Marvin Harrison Jr. is not going to be playing this week. Trey McBride is the #1 option in Arizona. Don't even get me started on Deontay Johnson. Chase faded me last week. He faded me. He didn't believe that Deontay Johnson was worth a shit. But let's look at this guy. Since week 3, 26, 21, Chicago's defense, 590. Who gives a shit? It's a rough matchup. He comes straight back to Atlanta for the 1980 top 10 wide receiver rest of the season. You heard it here first. And just to lightly touch on the bench, we've got Xavier Worthy just sitting here, ready, waiting to bloom like a flower to break out. Travis Kelce's like 40 years old. He's done. Now, how would you feel if you got your ass beat by your own phone charger? Well, that's what's going to happen this week, Cody. Your phone charger sleeps with me every night. Sometimes, when I'm bored, I just walk into my living room and plug myself in with it. Can you even imagine? Moving into our second matchup of the week, we have got Drake versus Jacob Maitland. Let's dive right in. Now, looking here on the left, we've got beginner's luck, aka Drake, with Jordan Love, quite possibly the QB1 rest of season. Whew. Then we've got Malik Neighbors. He spent 2 weeks out. I called it, baby. I called it. But we still didn't get the fucking win on him. How does that happen? How did it happen? And then in our WR2 slot, we've got Allen Lazard against Pittsburgh. Good start. And for an RB1, we do have B. John Robinson, who we took to the bank and we cashed out on last week. Holy shit. Why didn't you just start Jared Goff, K-Wade? Then in our RB2 slot, we've got Devin Singletary's backup, aka Devin Singletary's backup. Now, I didn't think it'd take this many videos to get it through your thick skull, but Najee Harris isn't good. He's never been good. He's always been bad. But he's a great start. Now, Drake, if you're anything, you are persistent because you decided to start him 6 weeks in a row to finally get a fantasy viable game out of this guy. We haven't had one of those in 5 years. But I digress. What do you have to say for yourself?
Hello down there, mortals. Kalen, thank you for doing exactly what you said, putting this rook in his place. Among the stars, hanging with the gods. Jake, it's time for Markarth to become the safest city in the Reach again. Much like Waylon, you'll be dying for your people. This week, Margaret lives.
I'm sickened. I'm sickened by all of you. But this week, Lamar Jackson faces Tampa Bay in quite possibly the biggest shootout of the year. Marvin Harrison Jr., why is he in your lineup? Fix your lineup. He had a concussion. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Derrick Henry. Aaron Jones. Half of your team is dust. Fix it.
Well, boys, here it is. We've all witnessed the rise, and now it's time to witness the fall. Drake Evelyn Pieper. It's had a decent start to the season. I'm glad it's been working out for you. But now it's on his head. He's all scrambled. He thinks he's the shit. I'm the greatest of all time. First year, he thinks he's the greatest. Wants to kick Jacob out of the commissioner's seat. Wants to take the league over. But here I am, to lay all those foolish ambitions to rest. Because I think you're cooling off. I think you're starting to sizzle down a little bit. You might be the oldest guy in the league, but you're a little baby boy. Little puppy boy when it comes to this fantasy shit. I think you're going to have a tough time once you get out of Matchup City. Good luck.
Thank you. You just made me realize why I have reinstilled my faith in the Markarth murders. Why I think the Jackson Smith and Jigba play is really just turning water into wine. Why Derrick Henry and Aaron Jones turned from dust to gold. Why I think drafting 5 Ravens was the best idea anyone's ever had. I'm calling it! Markarth Murder steps into Anne Orlando for the first time. One shot's Ornstein and Smoke and takes the win. Bring Jack down back to earth. Make him 5-2. This is our league. Matchup of the week. Moving on to our next matchup. We have Hatron, aka Hamstring, versus Chase, aka the Cocaine Lumberjacks. Let's dive in, shall we? Now, the first thing that I noticed about this matchup is that one of the people playing got completely blown out last week. And who's to say that won't happen again? Is it me? Not this week. I think this one's left up to the fantasy gods. Or fantasy Satan, if you will. He touched upon me a couple weeks ago, but I prayed him away. And you know what? Maybe Chase can do the same thing. Is he a believer? We're going to find out. Now, on our right, we have a Mr. Joe Burrow dropped by Cody Andreas earlier this season for Derek Carr. If this man had a chance to win the championship this year, you gave it to him. That's why I got to put the beat down on you this week. Then we have Deebo Samuel. Might as well be hurt. Then we have Mr. Reek, who up to this point in the season has not done so hot. Let's take a deeper dive. You know, the only thing worse than having Christian McCaffrey in the IR slot since week 1, thank you Kyle Shanahan, is having the number 2 pick, a Mr. Tyreek Hill, on your bench, not knowing whether you can start him or not knowing whether he's going to drop 3 points or 26, because 2 is dead. I don't envy you, that's for sure. You're in a rough spot, bud. Now, in his RB1 slot, he has a Mr. James Conner, who, if you remember last week, I said would score less than 11 points. Now, I would like to tell you that my prayers were just answered, that the fantasy god said, hey, he called it. He's going to score less than 11. But in reality, it was inevitable. 7 carries, 24 yards against Green Bay? I'm just looking at the numbers, baby. Moving down, we do have an extremely intelligent decision in benching a Travis Etienne, who I believe is out anyways, doubtful, for Tank Bigsby. Whew. Saw that coming. Now, I don't know if any of you have heard about the Romeo Doubs situation, but he was suspended for a week for mental health issues. Now, what that is, I'm not going to get into. You know, let the man's private life be his private life, but he didn't show up to practice for 2 days, and he blamed it on his usage in the receiving corps. Now, I'm a little bit bothered by this, because he scored 2 touchdowns the moment he came back, and Jaden Reed's sitting over here with 13 points. But you know what? Give him a little. Give him a little. Because what happens as a result of this is that Romeo Doubs does get a few more touches, but they're not taken from Jaden Reed rest of season. They're taken from Tucker Kraft. So, yes, you had a decent pickup. Yes, this guy decided to score a consecutive 17 and 24 points. But unfortunately for you, we both know that Romeo Booby Baby Doubs is going to end up taking these touches away from him. And it's unfortunate. He's going to end up being a blocker for the rest of the season. Doubs is going to get his way. He's going to straight OBJ his way into the end zone on plays that should be 60 to 70 yard TDs for Tucker Kraft, because he is the fastest tight end in the NFL. Sorry about it. I have to say, overall, I believe in you. After all of the shit that you've had to take over the past 2 weeks, I do believe that a kudos is in order, because even though your draft wasn't that great, even though you have never beaten me in a fantasy football game, I do think that you could still contend. We just have to see some changes. The $1 million question, though, is, do you still believe in yourself?
Good luck, Hayden.
That smelled like beginning of the season Bijan. Completely unmotivated.
Above it all, untouchable, a new animal. This is how legends are made.
Now, looking at Hayden's team, we've got Josh Allen, who dropped a big fat 30 last week for the win. A round of applause. Zay Flowers, kind of going off. This is going to be a shootout. A.J. Brown, he had a bounce back week last week, but I got to be honest, Jalen Hurts isn't looking so hot. You take Jason Kelce out of the equation, and apparently this team has the motivation of stale bread. David freaking Montgomery, biggest TD vulture in the NFL, solid. Jonathan Taylor, rough offense, but they're playing Miami. They might be up the whole game. We'll see if they'll run it. Dalton Kincaid, connecting with Josh Allen. Big move. Brandon Ayuk, total fucking dud.
Week 7 Cocaine Lumberjacks versus the Hamstring. Coming off a 160-point win, Chase with a measly hundreds, whatever. Wow. I'm feeling pretty good about this week, That's all I gotta say, really. And Chase, you can keep your good luck to yourself.
This game is close. It should be a banger. Now, with that being said, Hayden's team has the potential to drop 165 points. Chase's team dropped 175 a couple of weeks ago. He was pretty upset I didn't call it out, but I did it for good reason. To lower your self-esteem. But now that our matchup is over, I can honestly say this is going to be neck and neck. If we didn't already have a matchup of the week, this would be it. This could be a tight one, fellas. And they both need this win. Now, checking out this next one, the first thing I see is K-Wade hasn't even changed his name yet. I still see an 18-year-old digital camera picture of Drake in a mirror, just guessing that he's banking on Bijan, which he did, and blew you the fuck out. Respectfully. You should have started Jared Goff. But I digress. You were Team No Name for years. That was the first time I've seen you make it personal. And I do commend you. Thank you. Now, I've got to say, my day was just made. And you may even see it before I call it out. But banking on Bijan has officially benched Dak Prescott. How do we feel about this? Positive. Jamar Chase, 14 or 40. Terry McLaurin, still scary as fuck. Josh Jacobs, not quite as scary. Kenneth Walker, we called it. Did he drop 30? No. But he dropped that fucking 20 bomb. We got that one right, my friend. We might want to take a look at the kicker before next week. He's on a bye. But let's hear what you have to say.
Hi, I'm Charles Roberts. Well, let me tell you something, Charles. Dak isn't playing this week, so you better watch your ass.
Powerful. Now, are we moving on to Kyler Murray, or are we moving on from Kyler Murray? Now, looking at this guy's stats, you expect him to rush for 50-plus yards a week. And he has been. I mean, he's averaging quite a few rushing yards. However, the passing has been subpar, to say the least. 17, 37. How do you sit him after that? You can't. 19, 13, 29. Bringing it back. 16. You gotta throw him on the bench. What else can you do? Now, this is just classic Kyler Murray. Let's take a look at this play here. Now, first of all, we're just going to assume that we're going to do the loop-de-loop and pull. And then his shoes are going to be looking cool. And then he's going to break 4 tackles and get a gain of 3 yards. But by the end of the play, he's run 50. The potential's there. He just does nothing with it. Let's take a look. There's the loop-de-loop. There's the pull. And there's 8 yards. You see, the reality is that this man rushes for 300 yards a game. They're just in the wrong fucking direction. Get it together. Now, with DK Metcalf, I don't know if I remember correctly, but I think last year the Seahawks were by far the most penalized team in the NFL, and it seems to be continuing because I've seen this guy get more touchdowns called back than anyone this season. Juju Smith-Schuster What a shot in the dark. You really had to pull that one out, didn't you? Jahmyr Gibbs, still getting them TDs, Vultured. Kareem Hunt, what a pickup. George Kittle, waiting for the questionable tag. Devon Achane, we'll see. Now, looking at this matchup from a completely biased perspective, Jared Goff being started here on the right side is a huge, huge win. I mean, we're talking probably triple the points of Kyler Murray at this point. And I think it looks pretty even. With the vast majority of this team being fairly boom or bust, Jared Goff and Jamar Chase could drop 89 points together and string together a win here. However, the consistency of Kyler Murray Codpro cannot be denied. I want to hear what he has to say about it.
Yeah, we're going backwards hat for Dan Quinn. Shout out the fucking Commanders and Jaden Daniels, who I should have drafted instead of that bitch Kyler Murray. But the focus this week is K-Wade. K-Wade, been down the last couple of years. Been kind of worried about my boy. I know he knows ball. Drafting Jamar Chase, 5th overall. Hadn't practiced yet? Come on, bro. Looking like it panned out, though, so can't hate. But this week, week 7, without CD and DJ, you're going down, bro. You're going down. It is what it is. The fantasy gods have met, and it has been decided.
Like C-Note said, K-Wade knows ball. Jamar Chase did work out for you this year. Good for you. Jared Goff on the bench, that could be your rest of season play. But based on what I just witnessed, this is C-Note's play with his food week if you don't come to play. Now, as it stands, Charles just whipped his wheelbarrow-sized balls and slapped you in the face with them. But I prayed on this one this week, Kalen. And I did have a divine intervention. Jared Goff, 33. Jamar Chase, 40. Terry McLaurin, 18. Josh Jacobs, 9. Kenneth Walker, 24 points. Now, do I know the outcome? No. But K-Wade, this is your blow-up week. Now, coming down to our final matchup, we've got the stinker of the week. Why is this a stinker, you may ask? Well, Kirk Cousins, gonna blow up. Devonta Smith, gonna out-touch A.J. Brown. Justin Jefferson, 24 points. Saquon Barkley might drop a goose egg. Dalton Schultz, it's his week. Darius Slayton, questionable start.
Okay, we're going to make this quick because I'm sitting in a parking lot of a gas station in Coleman, Alabama, and people are going to start looking at me weird. A couple things I'd like to address in regard to my matchup this week. One, the fact that my opponent is 2-4 with his roster is kind of insane. I'll give one compliment, tip the cap for drafting Jaden Daniels in the 9th round. It's a pretty good pick. Now, with that being said, I've got a couple bones to pick. One, why are there so many fucking Jacobs in the league? Like, no offense to Jacob or anyone named Jacob in general, but we got to do something. Because I'm always playing or looking at somebody's team named Jacob, and I never know which one it is. That's an issue. Number 2, the Washington Rednecks. As a proud redneck from Alabama, I take offense to your name. And I'm not going to say that you should be canceled or change your name. I'm not one of those guys. But the fact you think you would find a redneck in Washington, D.C. is absurd. You'd be hard-pressed to find him in Washington County. Trust me, I've lived there. It's an interesting place. No score predictions. Just know that it's going to be a bad weekend to be someone named Jacob, which at this point seems like half our league, so good luck, Jacob.
Now, how is this a stinker, you may ask? Well, let's take a look, shall we? Now, looking at this matchup, the Washington Rednecks come in as a 61% favorite. But we all know that Jaden Daniels has just been going way too hard in the paint to keep this streak going. I think he has a down week versus Carolina. I don't know why. Something inside of me is burning alive, telling me this guy is going to have a down week. I think Chicago gets the brunt of him, but man, Carolina could just pop off for no reason. Now, what's going on in New York with Garrett Wilson? Well, let me tell you, Davante Adams is on his way in to link up with the man, A-Rod. Now, do I think that the total season ramifications of this are extremely harmful to Garrett Wilson? Not necessarily. I think that he is going to be a 16 to 26 point player on a weekly basis. But with that being said, Davante Adams has had a bad few seasons with the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders are just awful. He's looking for targets, my friend. And the last thing A-Rod wants to do is keep throwing Hail Marys to Allen Lazard. We can't keep doing that. Garrett Wilson, damn near goose egg this week. You heard it here first. Now, Mike Evans had a down week last week. We knew it was going to happen. It happens every year against New Orleans. It's a curse. It is a trend. It is something that we look out for, and it is something that cost JD the win last week. Now, with that being said, I don't think he has a bounce back week. I think the Baltimore Ravens absolutely stuff him. And we all know with his history that when he doesn't do well one game, he doesn't do well the next either. It is a trend. It is something that happens. Let's take a look. Just as I said, we had week 2, 7 points. Week 3, 3 points. Week 4, 23. Week 5, 23. This guy scores big game, small game, small game, big game, small game, small game. It is clockwork. He should be on your bench. Alvin Kamara, potential RB1 overall this year. I have faith, but not this week. Denver looks pretty good. Bo Nix is pissed. I'm pretty sure they were mic'd up last week, and I heard him tell Sean Payton to eat his ass. Now, knowing that he won't be able to take out his frustrations on his rookie quarterback, he will have to take it down on somebody. And I think that the Denver defense is going to get bore down upon by the wrath of Sean Payton. This man was going into retirement, and he said, you know what? I'm going to move to Colorado, and I'm going to coach more football. This defense goes off this week. Joe Mixon, primed for a big game, but he's got to get some receptions. It's a 50-50 shot here. I mean, they're going up against Green Bay, one of the highest scoring teams in the NFL currently, and I just don't think they're going to be able to run it much. Kyle Pitts, I have to assume goose egg. St. Brown probably has a big game, but Minnesota's defense, man, your matchups aren't looking hot, buddy. But what do you have to say about
it? I'm not facing, I get to face the last place team in our league. And you know what, I went and got some McDonald's because I had to tour out the area just in case I lose to this last place team, Barkley. If I lose to this last place team, I'm going to have to go work at McDonald's. That's where my team's going to make me end up going. It's just inevitable, so we'll see. I really, honestly, if I lose this one, I might be the best 2-5 team of all time at this point. Best 2-4 team of all time. I don't want to have to be the best 2-5 team, but if that's where life takes us, life takes us. GG's.
In the league of dreams, JD had his sights, but every game he played, it just didn't feel right. Merrick on the rise with a grin on his face, while JD's hopes crumbled, lost in the race. All the fantasies fade like echoes of cheer. Merrick's shadow looms, it's all becoming clear. JD, oh stinky, you're losing Draft day was golden, or so he believed, but now he's left stinking, not quite deceived. His lineup crumbles like dreams in the night as Merrick scores big and dims out the light. No comebacks in sight, it's hard to pretend, while glory for Merrick is around every bend. JDO Stinky, you're losing the game. With Merrick's ambition, he'll rise to the fame. Championship dreams, now dust in the air. A tale of two players, but life's never fair. So here's to the season where winners collide. When dreams turn to ashes, there's nowhere to hide.